Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's session. I'm joined today by Ankit Agarwal. His career journey spans finance, strategy, and aviation. A qualified chartered accountant and company secretary, he began his career in strategy and finance within the manufacturing sector before deciding to pursue an MBA at Duke University's Fuqua School of Business, one of my favorite schools. Since graduating, he has successfully pivoted into corporate strategy and now works in strategic planning and analysis at American Airlines. In today's conversation, we will explore his Fuqua experience from academics and campus culture to recruiting, career transitions, and the lessons he learned along the way. We will also discuss how he navigated the move from a traditional finance background into corporate strategy and what advice he has for MBA applicants considering a similar path. Hello, Ankit, and thank you for being here today. Would you like to tell our listeners something about yourself? Of course, over and above what I have already mentioned.
Thank you. Firstly, thank you so much for having me, Anju. This is such a great opportunity. Given my Fuqua experience, every chance I get to talk about Duke University and about my experience over there, I tend to just grab it. So this was one of those chances. But you have pretty much covered everything. But outside of work, I love giving back to my communities. I also love stand-up comedy. So I had about 9 years of stand-up experience when I was applying to business schools. And I also love writing and yeah, that's pretty much it.
I remember the stand-up comedy bit. Yes, from your application. Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. So without much ado, we're going to cover several sections, and let's start with talking about your academics and classroom experience. Tell me, Ankit, how would you describe the academic rigor at Fuqua, and what surprised you the most there?
I believe I'm not the best person to ask about academic rigor because coming from a business background and having gone through chartered accountancy education, as you know, it's already so rigorous. I felt the academics were the easier part. I believe it's more about navigating the social circumstances along with the academic challenges because these business schools tend to have like class participation grade or like class assignments or presentations. I found that really interesting because in Indian education system we don't get that many opportunities, or at least I didn't get that many opportunities studying in India. So that was really new for me. So I would say it is rigorous, but in a different sense. It instills more practical experience. It focuses more on how you can transform, how can you be transformed into a better leader by learning frameworks rather than just, learning theory and then just like kind of repeating that in the examination. It's more focused on how can these frameworks be instilled in the way you operate in the real world once you graduate.
Perfect. We are going to be talking about that a little later. But for now, let's talk about the experiential learning opportunities, any consulting projects, practicums, independent studies that particularly helped you.
Oh, I have so many. I remember in my first year of business school, within the first few months, I participated in this program or event organized by the Entrepreneurship and Venture Capital Club, EVCC. It's called the Found Hers Challenge, which is essentially supporting businesses and startups by women founders. And we do a consulting project for them. So my client was a skincare company, and I had to come up with a go-to-market strategy for them, which was a really cool experience because one of the biggest things that I wanted to learn going into the MBA program was to learn strategic frameworks. And in the first few months, I was already applying them. So that was like a phenomenal experience, to be honest. It also helped with my recruiting journey. I, like a lot of people, was drawn towards the consulting track. So preparation for consulting really came in handy. Similarly, for my current role, that also kind of panned out that way. The second experiential learning project that I did was FCCP, or Fuqua Client Consulting Practicum. I had the opportunity to work for the government of Greenland, where they were figuring out ways to power two remote villages in Greenland, transitioning from diesel powered electricity and heating to like hydel power or solar power or wind power. So we had the opportunity to kind of explore different avenues. We had the opportunity to work with the energy minister of Greenland. And then in the second year, I became an FCCP mentor. So I had three cool projects. Two of them were clients in the sustainable fishing industry, and one of them was a production house. So there are so many experiential learning opportunities available. I know I didn't do these, but I know some of my classmates were doing independent studies, and there's also K-Side 3. And then there's, I'm forgetting the name, but there's also consulting projects within the case umbrella. So they are more focused towards social impact. So many opportunities for experiential learning at Fuqua.
I heard from a little birdie that you were involved in, women-centric initiatives. Yes, so that kind of feeds right into it. All right, tell me, how much freedom did you have to tailor your curriculum based on your career goals?
I would say 50-50. Like there are core curriculums. Like one of the best things about Fuqua that started my year was that it's a completely STEM designated program. So you don't really have to gain or like focus or spend your time accumulating credits to get that STEM extension that a lot of internationals need. So that gives us the flexibility to move around, but there are concentrations and stuff like that that kind of draw you towards your specialization. So for me, that was either sustainability or strategy. So I was naturally drawn towards courses that were about operations, like sustainable operations, or about strategy in, like, let's say, developing economies, stuff like that. So I would say I had the freedom to choose these courses that I wanted to, but at the same time, I was also worried about my GPA because international students do have a requirement, and honestly, I feel like every international student feels that thing that they bring from their country, that, oh, hey, I need to do well in academics. So I was worried about my GPA. So I ended up taking a lot of quant classes as well because they were an easy lift for me. And also, you want to focus on recruiting, right? Because at the end of the day, you're here to find a job. So academics often takes a backseat. It's very often said that there are three things every B school student faces, and you need to choose two of them. So one is the social life, one is the academics, and one is recruiting. So you can do only two out of these three properly. So sometimes academics used to take a backseat, sometimes the social life took a backseat, but my primary goal going into it was recruiting and getting the desired recruitment outcomes. So just because of that, I had to make certain choices. But if someone wants to, there is like so much freedom to choose whatever you want, tailor your curriculum however you want. I know some of my classmates specialized in marketing. Some of them only focus on leadership and recruited for HR focused roles. And that was like a great journey for them as well as an experience.
Fantastic. I'm so glad that you're very honest and candid about the buckets that you were focusing on. And then you're right. It's a juggling game, and you've identified the buckets and focus on what was important at every point in your journey. All right. So you were in manufacturing, you're now in aviation, and both are capital intensive, operationally heavy industries. Now, do you think there were any specific electives or professors at Fuqua that bridged the gap between your manufacturing roots and the strategic frameworks you now use?
I wouldn't say they bridged these gaps, but they rather taught me how to think. Like Professor Ronnie Chatterjee taught us this really interesting course where he was discussing what's the balance between public participation and private. So, like, interaction between the government and the private, and that not need not be like in public sectors only. It has to be in private sector, because you need to give back to the society, you need to care about your consumers, you need to follow regulations. So thinking about these things really, I guess, like developed me as a leader. And then there was courses like operation strategy, where we were taught how to identify bottlenecks and fix them in the best way possible. There were courses like valuation, which taught me, or like finessed the the skills that I use in my day-to-day job right now. So I would say they taught me how to approach problems effectively, how to communicate better to my leaders, rather than the technical hard skills. So
Got it. All right. Uh, let's move on to the culture and the Raleigh-Durham edge. Okay. Everybody talks about Team Fuqua, quote unquote, literally. Tell me, what does it actually mean in day-to-day life at Fuqua?
that's very that's the easiest and the hardest question at the same time, because we get asked this so often that, oh hey, what does Team Fuqua actually mean? And when we say, oh hey, it's just like the collaborative spirit, and then they're like, but every school has that. That is true, but I guess at Fuqua it's naturally a given that when you are a part of the program, it you can assume that people are collaborative in nature, people want to help. And in day-to-day life, it can look as simple as, oh hey, I didn't get a call back for an interview, or for an application that I submitted, my friend comes over to comfort me. It can look like me attending an employee presentation and missing on classes when I have like a test, which is 50% of the 50% of my grade the next day. And my classmates just like coming up and like teaching me at like 11 p.m. at night. It can look as simple as me missing home before the school starts. And one of the admissions ambassadors, Megan Pollard, invited me to her house just to hang out with her kids. And she invited a few other classmates so that I can get acquainted with my classmates before the program even started. And there are like so many instances. So I guess Team Fuqua in action is just this way of helping each other out and keeping each other afloat, knowing that whenever you kind of fall down or you need support, there are people always behind your back. And that kind of gives you a courage to go out there and explore.
I love the way you explain this, support in every arena of your business school journey, and also kind of being invested in each other's well-being and success, if I were to sum that up. All right. Tell me, what kind of student tends to thrive at Fuqua? You always, prospective applicants come to us and always say, what is the school looking for? What kind of a student is the school looking for? So tell us what kind of a student will thrive at Fuqua.
I think this is something that is true for all business schools, that a lot of people uh, tend to, I guess, ignore or not consider, is the fact that introverts do have a hard time coming into any business school program, and that is the same for Fuqua as well. That said, there is a lot of support for introverts as well. I'm an introvert slash ambivert. I had to take so many little breaks between social events where I had to just be alone and recharge. And I think that made it really difficult for me. But at the same time, because going back to your previous question, because of Team Fuqua, I always had that support where people would understand and they would try to include me. People would go out of their way to make me feel comfortable. And I guess when that happens, you have to be open to letting people in. So I guess people who are willing to accept help and support, and people who pay back to the communities they are a part of, they are the ones who thrive at Fuqua. Really, like you need to be. We have something called the six paired principles, and I think that really encapsulates well as to who will succeed in the program. And this is not because like I want to say something preachy and oh
Not
hey,
at all. Not at all. Go ahead. Talk
but
about it.
it's
Perfect.
it's 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 actually the thing that the program is designed in a way that only people who have these six qualities will succeed. Like people can lie and get in, and people can pretend and mask all they want. But what happens is that when you are faced with a choice that 3 months into the program, when recruiting season hits in the first year for internship recruiting, everything goes out of the window. And I think that's when you actually see what you call a spade, you know, like so I think that's what is the case. Like those are the people that thrive at Fuqua.
Perfect. Let's step outside the campus now and talk about the advantage that the Raleigh Durham ecosystem offered you.
Yeah. Like I said, I had an amazing externship opportunity with the government of Greenland, but naturally that was not an internship. And because, you know, internationals do face a tough time given the conditions right now, uh, internship recruiting was a bit of a challenge. And I ended up reaching out to some of the alums of the Duke community. And I ended up landing an internship at Hitachi Energy because of my FCCP experience. So, because I was working with the government of Greenland, because I did the analysis for them. The way I did, I ended up chatting about it with an alum, and they used to work for Hitachi Energy, and they pushed me forward. I ended up landing an internship over there, and that was one of the best internships I've ever had in my life, where I was learning so much about about the energy industry, about the transformer manufacturing industry, and that was because of the Raleigh Durham area experience, because Hitachi Energy is based out of Raleigh, and it was so easy for me to just like go in for a chat. The alums that live in the triangle are so passionate about Duke and about helping people from Duke. It's all about community.
Yeah.
So just having that kind of support really puts you in a good mental space to recruit, as well as gives you ample opportunities to capitalize on.
Yeah, I had never looked at that triangle as an energy triangle, but it is something that I learned when I was in campus earlier this year. Yes. All right. So you've already preempted my question about leveraging the alumni network. So, we're not going to talk about that any further. I am just going to ask you outside academics, what were some of your favorite memories from living, in Durham, within Duke?
So many of them. I remember going to the LDOC concert, the last day of class concerts that used to happen at Duke, the main Duke University. I remember I went to an Ed Sheeran concert because Ed Sheeran's wife is a Fuqua alum.
Oh,
So she was visiting for an alumni weekend, and Ed Sheeran ended up performing. So that was really amazing. I remember doing the Warduke challenge, which is in between the classes, in between the 15-minute break, we get people run from the class to Warduke, chug a beer, and then run back. And it's just like tradition, and that's always at the last day of the term. Um, TAF Tuesdays, every Tuesdays, we used to go to this pub called the Tavern, just hang out, watch Duke basketball games, camp out, which was this 2 day living in a tent experience on campus, because you need to camp out to get season tickets for basketball games.
yes.
And it's so much fun. Like I never stayed in the tents because I don't think I can like survive that lifestyle. But I know my friends did, and I used to just like go there from the morning till like midnight or like 1 a.m. and just hang out with them. And it was an amazing time.
Yeah, I did visit the Basketball Hall of Fame, yeah,
It
and
is so nice.
it is nice. Duke is legendary for that. Absolutely. It is, somehow it makes you feel a part of the place when you're there, even without, having ever studied or taught or have been haven't been part of the system at all.
100%. And if you see Coach K speak, so Coach K comes
Yeah.
every now and then as a guest speaker. He's not that active anymore, but when he does, it's so nice to just listen to him speak and just get that kind of leadership experience. And I don't think you can find that anywhere except Fuqua.
Yeah, I saw that entire wall and room dedicated to Coach K. All right, let's move on to something that is, a major area of concern and worry for a lot of prospective students and also students going into Fuqua, currently, recruiting and career. So walk me through your recruiting journey. How well did Fuqua prepare you for recruiting from career services to peer support?
So step by step, what happens is you land and start your classes in August. In the first month, it's called the summer term. And I love that because in the summer term, you just are getting back into the classroom mode. You're connecting with your peers, which is so important. You're getting prepped for, how to send out emails, how to kind of do cold outreach, how to do coffee chats, stuff like that. In September, once the second years come back to campus, that's when the mentoring starts. And that's when the consulting and IB recruiting kicks off. In the summer term, the Career Management Office or the CMC prepares us really well to face the September recruiting cycle head on. And then we have something called Week in Cities or Week on Wall Street, depending upon consulting or IB. And then there's another one for tech as well, if people want to go into tech, where people can visit the offices that they are planning on recruiting to. So even though I wanted to always get into corporate strategy, when everyone starts like, oh, hey, consulting or IB, I ended up choosing consulting and I ended up going to Atlanta to see offices of MBB and like other consulting firms. And it was such a great experience because even though I did not end up working in consulting, and I'm so glad I did not, it was so nice to learn from them. And every interaction kind of improves just how easy it becomes to talk to the next person. And then once this process ends around like November, December, in January, you'll have your interviews for consulting IB. And that's when, after that, is when the custom recruiting begins. And that's for roles like, marketing or like strategy, stuff like that. So like energy-based recruiting. Like for me, I ended up landing my internship in like March because it was the time period because they do just-in-time hiring. So that's what happens. And then your summer internship is May till like August. Somewhere around 10 to 12 weeks. Usually a lot of people get return offers. Some people don't. Then once you're back on campus, there are full-time opportunities like again, in consulting and IB, based on how many people got return offers and based on company needs. And all through this time, you get a lot of support from the finance club for internship, for investment banking recruiting, from DMCC for consulting recruiting. And I do want to give like a special shout out to both these clubs because they have such extensive curriculum to prepare people for these recruiting. Like I think when you ask me the question about which professors have helped me, transition from manufacturing to aviation, I also think DMCC helped me in a way because I don't think I would be thinking the same way I do now if DMCC wasn't there. Like they teach you how to solve case studies. They teach you how to solve case problems. They teach you how to, prepare for interviews in a way where you can communicate very clearly with your leaders. Same for finance club. Like there are such extensive mock interview sessions and stuff like that. So yeah, that's how recruiting works. For me, it was a challenging process overall. I ended up landing my internship in March. Then I had a return offer, but I didn't want to go back. So I was still looking for other roles. And I ended up graduating without getting an offer. And while I was traveling with my parents for my grad trip, I was just like applying to different places and like networking. Met with a lot of alums, and one of them worked out, and I ended up getting an interview at American Airlines. And my hiring manager was a Fuqua alum from the
Oh,
class of 2020 or 2021. And she's my mentor now. So
um,
Fuqua, like the community is so big. And I've had so much support from the community, even in my personal recruitment journey.
so
So yeah,
So Team Fuqua is working within and outside of outside of Fuqua. Really, thank you so much
100%.
for this detailed overview of the recruiting process. I'm sure it's going to be extremely, extremely useful to our listeners, both prospective applicants and those who are going into Fuqua this year. Right. So I just want to ask you one more question about recruiting. Besides, of course, you've mentioned, consulting and finance extensively. Which are the other industries or employers that recruit at Fuqua?
All of them. Like I know a lot of people who went into the food space. So a lot of food companies visit, a lot of alternate protein companies visit. One of my friends ended up starting his own startup out of Brooklyn in the food space. So Fuqua also prepares you for the startup journey. And then a lot of marketing opportunities are also available. I know one of my friends ended up working for Mattel, and then she's at Nature Valley now. So I don't think there's like a dearth of opportunities. There's like energy-based roles available. A lot of people went into AES, for example. There's aviation. Some of my classmates went to Frontier. Three of my classmates, other than me, went to American Airlines.
Oh,
So it's like a bunch of people go everywhere. A lot of people naturally go into consulting and IB, and that tends to be the major
yeah, that's
driver.
the focus. Yeah.
But
Also
but
healthcare.
there's
It's a huge
oh
healthcare
yeah,
place. Yes.
yeah. So one biggest regret that I have into the program is that I never looked into healthcare. And if I could do the program all over again, I would 100% focus on healthcare or like try to learn more about it or the pharma industry as well. Um, I know people who went into AT&T as well. So telecom is another 100%. Like there's sky's your limit.
All right. Yeah, and true. I mean, anyways, you've preempted my question about what would you do differently, but yes, healthcare, it's a big healthcare triangle as well. All right, now I'm going to circle back to the time before you joined Fuqua and talk a little about your application strategy and positioning. So, looking back at your application, how did you think the red pen helped you?
Okay. Firstly, Red Pen helped me a lot. And this is not sponsored, by the way. I'm not getting paid for this, but Red Pen did help me a lot. I remember working closely with Mitrabina. She was so clear with what my story should be. She was so invested in my journey. And then I believe the biggest support or lift I got was from Hugh when I was put on the waitlist for Fuqua. Honestly, this might sound preachy, but I believe that I was able to attend Fuqua because of you, mostly because of the kind of support you showed me during my waitlist journey. I remember you pushing me constantly and you reviewing every update that I had and telling me that, oh, hey, this is relevant. Oh, hey, this is not. This kind of aligns with your story. This does not. And more so just encouraging me to kind of keep going because the waitlist journey, especially for Fuqua, is a long one. Fuqua is known to put people on the waitlist and then clear them later on. So that was something that if I were on my own, I would have 100% given up because I remember I applied in early action, and I got my results in like October of 2022, and then I converted the Fuqua waitlist in on May 26th
Yeah, I
of
remember pre-lit. Yes,
2023.
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
May 26th of 20. I remember the date as well. And that was mostly because of you. Like you supported me so much, and I'll always be grateful for that. So I would
I
100%
can.
say that. Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I would 100% say that the Red Pen helped me a lot, more so to understand my stories, to kind of encourage me to think outside the box, to filter my thoughts. It's not like you gave me something and I was like, oh, okay, let's just go with it. You encourage me to think. And I feel like that's a great way to prepare someone who's going into a B school program. Because in India, we are often like spoon fed, where we are like, oh, hey, if this person just gives me this, I'll run with it. But just being inspired to think is something that is very rare. And I got that from you.
Thank you so much, Ankit, for the endorsement. Honestly, this is what really motivates us. This is what, helps us get up every morning and do what we do, helping candidates realize their dreams. And it is so gratifying when they come back and say, hey, your help kind of helped us get to where we are today. Amazing. This is the point at which I normally would say, okay, let's end the conversation, on a high. But I have more things to ask you.
Please feel
All
free.
right. Okay. So what are the common mistakes that applicants make when they're applying to Fuqua? I mean, if you were to apply today, what would you do differently?
I think my application was really good. To be fair, because I worked really hard, Fuco was my number one preference. One of the things I missed out on was my resume. I took it very lightly. I wanted to be very balanced, so I showed equal parts of my work experience as well as my extracurriculars because I had a lot. I'm someone who likes to be active outside of work and like academics. So I had a lot to show and I was like, oh hey, where else am I going to put it? I want it to be on my resume. But looking back, the resume should 100% be professional. Like 80% of the real estate on someone's resume should be their work experience and extensively, like detailed way. And then 20% should be like other things like hobbies or like interests or like certifications, etc. So I think that would be something I would do differently. And I do believe that my essays were amazing. And shout out to Mitrabina for that because we worked really hard on those essays. I tried to be very creative with my essays, especially given someone who's into storytelling. Writing essays was like a fun task for me. So I guess going back, I would 100% focus more on my resume. Try to think of this in a way that I'm not in front of the admissions committee, but if they were to sit in a round table and decide, or just by looking at the paper, I want them to know my core values, Like I want them to know that my core values align with that six paired principles that FICO has. I want
True,
them to know
absolutely.
I want to bring that out in my 25 random facts. So I guess that is a great way I would say for aspirants to tailor their application to the school.
I love the 25 random things. Absolutely. So does Fuqua. I mean, well, and that's the reason why they keep it year on year. They also feel it's a little AI proof because you can't just generate, that from
And
AI
and
kind of
Anju,
thing.
the best part is that people have so much fun with 25 random facts.
Yes,
Like
yes.
I I wrote a really fun 25 random facts. I had so many of them, but when I went to business school at FICUA, I realized that there were people who wrote their 25 random fact better than I did. Some people wrote haikus as they're like literally they wrote 25 haikus about their life. Some people had themes someone had like a sailor like a sailing boat kind of theme because they were in the Navy or like something like that.
Yeah,
And that
and
is so
I believe
unique.
you're supposed to read it out when you go to school. So, and it's a great way to know your peers.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, no, no, no. I absolutely, absolutely love that, essay, Fuqua essay. And I'm glad you spoke about the resume, Ankit. Not many people realize that the resume is the first document that most adcoms look at. And while I don't say the first impressions are the last impressions, but it's important to make a good impression. It's important for the, adcoms to see where you're coming from and how it is connected to your goals and where you're going. They also see, various traits that you demonstrate through your resume. Also, the kind of work that you've done, the kind of impact that you've made. So yes, the resume is an extremely, extremely important part of the application process. I would say more than the essays, in
I
my
would I
opinion.
would agree. And just to add to that, Anju, I think one of the things that people don't realize is that at the end of the day, these business schools, they want to place everyone. Like they want 100% placement, and they want to take in people who are easy to place. Like they don't want people who will have a struggle finding a role. So their job is to have the perfect class profile that allows you to have that diversity, allows you to have that variety of opinions as to build yourself. But at the same time, it's by people who are high achievers, by people who have a way that they can communicate their value. And I think that is somewhere where we lack because we don't communicate our value really well.
Mhm.
But yeah, so I would 100% say that resume, like you said, is one of the major documents.
Thank you for saying that. All right, I'm going to quickly touch upon, the ROI of an MBA and financial considerations. Beyond compensation, what has been the biggest return on your investment?
This will again sound so preachy, but I would say the connections I made, Anshu, like I think the friends I made, the network I made has been so phenomenal and monumental. Like even at American Airlines right now, if I reach out to a Duke alum and I'm like, oh hey, I need advice on how to approach this to a leader, they sit down with me and they walk me through everything. Like I literally had a one-on-one chat with a Fuqua alum day before yesterday, and we had booked like 20 minutes for the conversation. She ended up staying 1.5 hours just to talk to me about like what my journey has been. And this was not because I wanted her to stay there. She was like, oh hey, let me help you. And I think that just goes to show what Team Fuqua really means, because
True.
Team Fuqua
Same.
is not, yeah, Team Fuqua is not like just in the program. It's like a thing that you bring with you in the program. It's not like I didn't gain Team Fuqua when I went to Fuqua. Team Fuqua was always inside me, and then it just got shaped when I was at
You
Fuqua.
built on it. You built on it. Yeah. So you
Exactly.
you take Team Fuqua into the program. You take it out. When you leave the program, and yes, I mean, network is one of the most important reasons. For students going into an MBA program. Absolutely, and and they should have no qualms about saying that. All right, I'm going to quickly ask you one more question about, finances and costs. Now, you are a chartered accountant. I'm sure you factored in, most of the costs that you would encounter when you went to business school. But were there any unexpected costs of being at business school and living in Durham?
Yeah, I would say the treks. Like there are so many class treks that you go on that, oh hey, we are going to Japan. Everyone's going. Some seniors are going. Would you like to go? And it's so easy to say no because you want to save on money. You're there to study. You're staying away from your parents to study to build a career and stuff. But at the same time, this is your network, right? This is what you'll take with you once you graduate. So it's so important to like connect with people in your class, and also just to like I said, there are three things, right? Like acads, career, and social. So you can never like sleep on one of these. Like if you are not social, no one is going to remember you after the program is over. And then when you reach out to people, like let's say for a referral or let's say for a coffee chat to understand what people do in their roles, like an average duration as to someone who stays in a role after their MBA is 2 years. So I'm 1 year into my role. Next year, if I do try, like looking elsewhere, I'll obviously turn to my classmates first, see who else is working where right now, try to see what open opportunities they have, and then network with them, understand what kind of, job do they do, what are their responsibilities, do they like the company or not. And trust me, when it comes from someone you don't know, you're not as candid, you're not as open. So
True.
you'll never get the true insights. And I'll tell you this, Anju, one of my seniors told me this when I was going into the program. He said that a second year knows no better than a first year, but the second year knows the logistics. And that's why they have an advantage over a first year, and that's why they mentor the first year. And it's the same in my current job right now, where someone younger than me is my manager right now. And it's totally fine because they are mentoring me because they know ins and outs about the aviation industry, about the logistics of how promotions work at American Airlines. So I guess just understanding these things requires some level of trust. And that is built only when you interact people outside of work, outside of projects, outside of class. And I guess that is one of the investments that people don't factor into when calculating the cost of attending a program, is that you will go on treks to like foreign countries with your classmates. You will go to conferences like National Black. You will go to conferences like the energy conference, for example, looking for opportunities in whichever field or area that you're interested in. You will go for treks the week in cities trek for consulting, or week in Wall Street for investment banking at Fuqua, and all of these come with a cost. So
Fair
this
enough.
cost was something that I never accounted for. And the way I offset it was through on-campus opportunities. So I was an admissions fellow, and I was an FCCP fellow. So that kind of gave me that cushion to finance these trips as well when I had not planned for them. So that was really helpful.
Thank you. Thank you for not just telling us, what these hidden costs are, but how you kind of offset them as well. I'm sure, again, it's going to be extremely useful to our listeners. I'm going to ask you just one more question before I plunge into, a quick rapid fire. So how do you feel the MBA changed you personally besides professionally?
I think personally, I am a lot more mature now. I feel like I went through like 10 years in those 2 years. I aged 10 years in those 2 years. I think I am more calm now. I am more clear and coherent in how I think. I'm more structured. I maintain a calendar all the time, which is something I didn't do before. So I guess these like tiny things that kind of bleed into your personal life because you attend a B school program are very relevant to your just for developing your personality, because in those 2 years, the only thing that's constant is being uncomfortable. Like
I like that.
you are constantly pushed outside your comfort zone. And I think once you start living outside your comfort zone, that's when you grow the most. And that is why I think when you ask about the true ROI, it's that experience, that being outside the comfort zone so often, all the time, is very monumental to someone's growth. And I guess that is the true return that people need to see, that, oh, hey, this is, the kind of return I get if I invest this. So, yeah.
All right, that's amazing. All right. Quick questions. 3 words to describe Fuqua.
Oh, okay. Fun, um, friendly, and frightening.
All right, 3 Fs.
Yeah.
Favorite club or tradition?
Favorite tradition would be TAF Tuesdays, definitely, because I loved watching basketball games at TAF. Favorite club, I would say the board games club, because I remember I was the co-president for the board games club in my second year, and we used to have professors come in. I remember there's this econ professor named Professor Udayan. He used to come to the board game club meetups often. We used to have Costco pizza, and we would just play like Catan or Secret Hitler or some other game, and it was always like a fun time.
On time and great platform to interact as well. Best food spot in Durham.
Viceroy.
All right, that was quick. Most underrated,
I have others, but yeah.
yeah. Most underrated aspect of Fuqua?
The nature, the Duke Gardens is amazing. Like there
Yes,
hasn't
yes.
been a single day in a week in the 2 years I've been in Durham. I was at Durham where I was not at the Duke Gardens. I would just like pick a book, go over there. I remember recruiting at Duke Gardens after graduating when I was applying for jobs. I remember sitting at like a bench on Duke Gardens and just applying because it was so pretty outside. The fall colors, it's in autumn if you're in Durham or in North Carolina overall. It's the best time to be. The leaves are so pretty, and I feel like that's so underrated.
Yes, it is because I spent half a day at the Duke Gardens. It was absolutely amazing just walking around, sitting by that little pond. Yeah,
Yeah, and
just kind of connecting with myself. All right. That kind of brings me to the end of my conversation. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for sharing all the insights that you have. I always go away learning, a little myself from these conversations. I'm sure prospective applicants and those joining Fuqua this year will also find this conversation extremely useful. Also, good luck to you as you, power through your professional journey. It's wonderful to see where you are today, and good luck for future as well.
thank you so much, Anju, for having me. This was an amazing conversation, and I often look for opportunities to talk about Fuqua. So, if anyone who's listening wants to chat about Fuqua, please feel free to reach out. Always happy to connect.
Thank you so much for that.
Awesome.
All right,
Thanks.
so now that's the end of it. Of course, again, this part will be cut out. Thank you so much, Ankit. It was so wonderful. For me personally, it is so heartening. I'm somebody who always tries to keep in touch with, all the candidates that I have worked with in any capacity whatsoever, as a lead consultant, as in parts of the application, whatever. I always like to know where they are, what they're doing. Are they achieving their dreams? Are they getting to where they wanted to be? So it's so nice to meet up with you. It's so nice to hear your story and your journey. And really, if you are ever in Mumbai, please do get in touch with us. Come and see us. We love meeting our alums. And yes, and remember, we are also part of your team, Fuqua. You ever want to bounce off anything, you ever want to come back to us and talk to us about anything, we are always there. You don't leave the system when you get into business school. You always are, again, part of Team TRP.
Awesome. That's good to know. Okay, I'll add another Team Fuqua, Team TRP.
Absolutely, absolutely. And as I said, good luck to you in your journey. Which city are you based in?
I'm in Dallas right now. American Airlines is based out of Dallas.
Dallas. Yes, I know they're based out of Dallas. All right. I am not. I am coming to the US. I will be in Boston and New York, also in Seattle, but maybe.
When are you in New York?
I am in New York around the 18th, 19th, 20th, or 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th, somewhere of August.
August. Okay. I'll see if I can swing by because I get like free flights. so I
Oh,
can
of
just,
course, of
yeah.
course. One of the perks of working with American Airlines.
Yeah,
How amazing is that? If I ever get into trouble with American Airlines, I know who to reach
please
out
let
to.
me know. 100%. Please let me
I
know.
I will be in and out of US over the next couple of years because my daughter is there.
100. Oh, obviously, yeah.
Yeah, she's gonna be there, so in and out of the US. Anyways, I do go every year. I was there earlier this year for the IGAC conference at Fuqua and at Keenan Flagler, and I was
Oh,
pleasantly
nice.
surprised by so many things that I learned on campus. It's completely different, knowing the school as we do from our experiences and even chats with adcoms and actually being there and seeing what happens on ground. Truly.
I honestly, Anju, wish that Indians, before attending the program or before applying, could come and just visit the school. It's so difficult and it takes so much money, and not a lot of people are privileged enough to do it, but it makes so much difference. Like once you set foot on campus, it completely changes because the vibe of the school, seeing people study, seeing people collaborate together is so different. Like, because I remember the first day of school, it was so amazing and so different for me, and I was so
And
glad.
overwhelming.
And 100% overwhelming, but I was so happy that I made the choice and I worked hard towards it. But yeah.
Are you doing anything in I didn't want to ask you this because I didn't want to put you on spot, but I remember we had worked on the sustainability angle on your waitlist. Are you doing, and now you're with American Airlines, one of the biggest polluters on this planet, or the airlines. Okay. Are you doing something there? Are you planning to do
I
something there?
I am planning. So once I join the role, I can't switch within at least a year. I
Yeah.
finish a year in like 2 weeks. So I am planning on finding like sustainability based roles, because American Airlines is one of the few airline companies that have hydrogen powered based engines coming in. So it's one of my interest areas. So I'm definitely like building towards it. But right now, like you said, they are the biggest polluter. And the problem is that with the change in administration, not a lot of opportunities or perks or benefits that were earlier given to, you know, sustainability efforts are then they don't exist anymore. So it just feels like the companies are kind of backtracking, you know.
Yeah. But look, things change, and
Exactly.
you're in this in the long haul, and whenever you are doing these initiatives, reach out to me. I am going to do a very short 5 minute, a 3 minute version of this, a 2 minute version of this, for people who want to get into sustainability and who really need to understand that it's not just a buzzword. There's a
Mhm.
lot that goes into it. Like, I remember, when we spoke about your waitlist, and we said, and I said, no, just saying that I planted 50,000 trees. And I remember that very distinctly. I don't know what number of trees there is not enough. Tell me, what is it going to do? So, it is the equivalent of, saving X amount of, or absorption of X amount of carbon dioxide, or, whatever. So that is the impact. The impact is not that I'm planting like 100,000 trees.
Right.
That's fine. But what are you actually achieving through that? How are you making your workplace more sustainable? I mean, you're working and I remember you were working in a pipes factory or something. And again, factories are polluters, right? And by doing this, you are kind of enabling absorption and reduction in the atmosphere, which is, of course, a big thing, whatever any administration thinks. Climate change is happening. It is here, and it is here to stay. And, I mean, unless and until we take action. So maybe, I'll do a quick short segment and, have a conversation. I love talking to our alums, and especially those who are working, because, now they've stepped out of that system. They are, in the real world, as we say, they're actually driving change in so many ways. This was from the admissions point of view, but, I would like to do segments on, how is it that you're driving change in the space that you are. And once you get here, it'll be a fantastic conversation to have. And yes, I
Was
will
just
let you know when I
yeah.
talk.
Perfect. Just let me know what you're thinking about. I'm always happy to like have these conversations. At Fuqua, I used to do this thing called the Fuqua Show podcast, where I used to connect with my
I
classmates and
know
do these.
you had already done that even before you went to school, right?
I
I have
did.
all those memories. There are some candidates who stand out because look, Ankit, we can only help you if you're ready to help yourself. Okay, the work you need to put in, we can't put in the work for you. We can only help you say, okay, these are the things that you should be doing. These are the things that you can do. But I remember that you were already doing all of that. You were part of that Fuqua podcast even before you went there. I clearly distinctly
I was part
remember
of the GMAT Club podcast
the
before.
GMAT Club,
Yeah,
something GMAT
yeah,
Club podcast, and you were helping. So not you, obviously you couldn't be part of that, but
yeah,
something I remember. Yeah. So you
yeah.
were already, doing those things that would kind of, get you ready for business school and, kind of help you thrive when you get there. And those are the kind of students that schools look for, people who are genuinely invested in their journey, not people who just say, this is my goal, I want this job, and that's why I want to come to any business school. So yeah, I mean,
100%. And it's also like I said, that because I love Red Pen so much because of how you inspired me to think rather than spoon feeding me. Because we are so used to just being spoon fed and being like, oh, hey, just take this answer and run with it. And I'm like, why am I even saying this? So it was like really nice to think for myself, as well as, like I said, it's so important for people to communicate their value. And we don't do that enough.
yes, yes,
So that's something that is so important for, like, let's say, the resume, just communicating value. Even in corporate right now, the way we get promoted is to communicate our value.
true.
Like there's like literally a rubric that's followed, and you need to have certain like experiences, and there's like a checklist kind of a thing that you need to tick, and that's how you communicate value according to the organization. So in it's the very nature of the or the climate in which you're like planning on coming in, that this is how your performance gets measured. So if you don't learn the rubric, you'll never excel in that course,
True.
and we don't.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It is, see, it's a pitch. Business school is a pitch. Just like your job application is a pitch. It's not about writing an application and saying, I did this and I did this and I did this, which is like, yeah, anybody in your role would do that, right? But what is your value to that organization? What did you bring in? How did you make a difference? What change did you drive? That is the important part. Saying that I am a chartered accountant and I audited company 1, 2, 3, 4 is not really adding value. Yeah, that's your job. I mean, that's what anybody in any
Yes.
chartered accountant would do. But what is it that you are doing that is driving change, that is making a difference, that is really bringing value to that organization, and through that, the value that your value kind of thing, your kind of value add, so yeah,
Exactly.
I get that, and I agree with you 100%. And it is so important for people who are applying, because they're kind of a very clueless at that stage. And much as we try to tell them, there are very few self-aware people who are like, okay, these are the things that I need to do, because we can tell you what to do, but the work needs to come from you. End of the day, if you don't put in that work, if you don't, and I kept telling you, Ankit, if you remember, that schools are, it's a line I've picked up from LBS. We want students who want us. So are you really being able to demonstrate that you truly want and are passionate about Fuqua? What are you doing to move towards your goals? Remember, that's the reason why I kept saying that if you're working towards sustainability, let's show them that I'm not just talking, through my hat or, in thin air.
Mhm.
I'm actually making that effort, even if I'm waitlisted, even if I haven't got in, I am making that effort. I am, moving towards that. And that's where all those initiators that we spoke about came in, and I said, let's mention figures, approximately, I think you mentioned that many, emissions by that many cars or something like that,
Yeah, yeah.
whatever. Yeah,
I
I
remember.
have, I don't remember everything about every candidate, but yeah, there are some things which kind of stay with you. So yes, I mean, it's so important to communicate your value to the school, to the organization when you are applying for jobs and for your promotions. It's an ongoing thing. Great, great.
It's,
Thank you so
of
much for your time, Ankit, and
course.
so lovely talking to you. At some point, I would love to catch up with you in the US if you are, anywhere around there. If not, whenever, if you are in Mumbai, where is home for you?
I'm based out of Calcutta, but my uncle lives in Mumbai in Bandra.
Okay.
So whenever I come to visit him, that's probably when I'll be in Mumbai, but I'll 100% reach out.
Calcutta is my sasural. That's where I got married. That's where my
Oh, no
husband grew
way.
up. Yeah, he's a Don Bosco Xavier's.
Oh,
Yeah,
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 nice,
kid.
nice. Okay.
Yeah, he's hardcore Kolkatan, Bengali speaking, Bengali food eating. We are not Bengalis. We are also like you, Goyals, Agarwals, kind of thing, but primarily from UP, MP kind of thing. But yes, yeah. But yeah, I have that connection to Kolkata. I spend a lot of my time there, although we were always in Mumbai after we got married. But since my Amit's family was there, we would visit very often. A lot of my Diwalis were in Kolkata. And yes, we continue to be members of Tolly Club. And recently my daughter went there because, and my husband took her back after a long time because her fingerprinting appointment was in Kolkata. In
Okay.
India now, you're not getting appointments for the US visa. It's
Yeah, yeah.
impossible. I mean, we were lucky. So her fingerprinting was in Kolkata and her interview was in Delhi. So my husband really took the opportunity to take her around and show her some of his old haunts. Now nobody lives there. His parents are with us, so kind of thing. But
Nice.
anyway, lovely. Thank you so much. You have a good night. And this will be up on YouTube, and Manisha and Prerna will let you know. And yes, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Sounds good. Thank you so much, Anju. Lovely talking to you.
Likewise. Thank you.
Bye.